Welcome to hear Heremaia's story about Finnish integration training in Joensuu. My name is Juuso Korhonen and I work in the North Korea's employment area as a service manager. Tervetuloa Heremaia.
Joo, moikka!
Mitä sinulle kuuluu?
Tosi kiva. Hyvä olla täällä. Joo, kiitoksia.
Se on mukava kuulla.
Joo, kiitoksia.
So, what were your first thoughts when you began the integration program?
When I began the integration program originally, I had applied in November of 2024. At the start, I didn't fully understand the concept of the program itself, where my case manager had told me that they would put me through school for an entire year and they would give me some funds to kind of put it past. I had just finished working for 15 months, only in English though. And so when I was offered the opportunity, I definitely took it and I saw it as a kind of golden ticket opportunity, knowing that I had always kind of worked. I hadn't studied for more than kind of 10 years. And so for me, knowing that the work component was only kind of 25 hours a week, I had a lot of free time. It definitely was that kind of golden ticket opportunity to take advantage of. And with 2 to 3 months before I started, it was very much enough time for me to consider kind of just relax, unwind a little bit, and kind of get ready for this new phase of life.
Yeah, good to hear. What kind of expectations did you have before starting, and how did the reality feel once you joined the course?
I think before starting, I didn't have many expectations. I had some friends who had originally taken the course and they didn't mention much of it there. But for me, when I did start, I realized that there were actually kind of two parts of the experience. You know, there's the kind of language learning, which we go there and study for, but then also there was this kind of free time component. And given the amount of time that we had outside of class, it really was a great opportunity for me to start looking at kind of potential employment opportunities here. And specifically for me, I realized that before in my last career of technology sales, I wanted to work. I'd always been telling myself, well, I wanted to be a public speaker. And I realized very early on in the course, well, I have enough time. So maybe I can give it a chance to kind of try and switch careers while in the course.
Yeah. Was there a moment when you realized that what this year could truly mean for you?
That definitely was around April, around 1 month into the course, where I kind of had that conversation to myself, Heremaia, like, you have an entire year? And for me, that was where I thought, 12 months of kind of learning, reflecting and building, you can do a lot. You can do a lot in a year. You can change careers, you can try something new, you can learn a language, you can integrate. And with that in mind, I realized that the program is so much more than just studying Finnish. You know, I really wanted to kind of rebuild myself, kind of the professional career, and give myself that opportunity just to try and kind of fully integrate into Finnish society. And I think that is definitely what that kind of moment of realization kind of did for me.
Yeah. And how did learning Finnish become part of your everyday life?
I think being in the classroom every day really makes Finnish kind of part of your routine. It was the one kind of fixed point in the week. So it almost becomes like the sun in the solar system, where every day kind of everything else is kind of built around it. And in the beginning, it's slow. You barely notice kind of any change. But gradually you start kind of picking up pieces and you start to recognize that you understand words in conversations and you can start to have kind of interactions in the public, at the kauppa, with your friends in the kahvila. And for me, I have a really nice phrase, which is elämä on parempi kun sinä puhuu suomeksi somessa, which is life is better when you speak Finnish in Finland. And you don't realize until you start to learn the language. And I think that's a really big change for me, where that was when I started to realize, okay, like, people are a little bit nicer and they really encourage you to try. And so for me, that was that moment where I realized that, like, integration definitely does make things a lot better.
Yeah. And how did you decide what you wanted to work toward during the program?
I think for me, I had already told myself in my old career that when I was 65 and retired, I would become a public speaker, because all of my favorite public speakers were in their 90s. And I was like, well, I have time. And so for me, I'd always done kind of unpaid public speaking, Toastmasters and classes like that. But then when I realized all of that time and I said, well, you've got this opportunity where if you can try something new, and if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to your career. And if so, and it does work out, then you're kind of successfully able to kind of jump over. So trying something new, I would 100% recommend. And I started that by actually starting a public speaking club in Joensuu, the Joensuu Speakers Club. I didn't realize at the time that there weren't any public speaking clubs in English. So I decided I'll get one kicked off, and it's been going really well so far.
Yeah, that's good. Can you share something you built or started while studying the program?
That would be, yes.
Yeah, you mentioned this Joensuu Speakers Club.
The Joensuu Speakers Club here. So when I arrived in Joensuu, I arrived in January, and there wasn't that public speaking club. And so for me, I had built something similar in Australia, but one of the biggest challenges I knew was that it was 7 years ago, pre-COVID, in a city with 60 times the population of Joensuu, in a language that everyone spoke. And so it definitely was a bit of an uphill battle, but when you're really excited about something and you really want kind of the change, you have to be the one to try and kind of make that change here. And the city was so kind of welcoming and helpful in terms of kind of making that happen. And so for me, like anywhere in kind of North Karelia or anywhere in Finland kind of thing, you don't have to be in the capital. This doesn't need to be in Vantaa, Espoo, Helsinki. It's like you can do it in Joensuu, you can do it in Lieksa, you can do it anywhere in North Karelia. And we're super happy about that.
Yeah. And what advice would you give the new students that are starting the program today?
I think my advice would be to get really crystal clear on the outcomes that you're looking for. So for you, if you're kind of watching this and you're considering, do I want to work? Do I want to go back to school? Do I want to start a business? The earlier you really start to kind of work towards that and get clarity on what you want, the quicker you can start to take actions towards that. And for a lot of people who are kind of a little bit worried about whether or not they might be able to kind of enter that workforce, I have to say the piece of advice is you would be surprised how much things can happen in a year, especially during the time that you have within the course. And so for me, I would say just kind of be brave and back yourself for whatever outcome you're trying to look for, because by the time the course ends, you'll be so surprised if you got started on day one with all the stuff that you have done and then all the opportunities that are kind of there for you when the course ends, regardless of where you are in North Karelia or Finland.
Heremaia, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and these inspiring stories about your integration. Haluaisitko vielä lähettää suomeksi jotakin terveisiä muille ihmisille, jotka ovat kotoutumassa Suomeen ja Pohjois-Karjalaan?
Joo, Suomen ja Pohjois-Karjalan tervetuloa. Se ei ole helppoa, mutta yksi päivä aikaa, päivä vai päivältä, sinulle on parempi. Ja sitten tervetuloa ja kiitos.
Kiitos Heremaia.
Kiitoksia.